Goodbye 2021, hello 2022. I'm not gonna wish you guys a happy new year. I did that back in 2020 when I did the list for the previous year, 2019, and then when it came to last year, it came to my list on 2020, I ended up catching a few days later. So you know what, I hope 2022 is a perfectly adequate year. I hope it's totally fine, but before we move forward, which we always should do, we need to kind of look back, see what it came before, which leads us fittingly enough to the best songs of 2021 list, which can't believe it's already that time. But before we get into the list proper, we should have a wee glimpse at the songs that were really good but just missed out on getting on this list.
Talk about timing in times like these. Let all your damage me.
Tell me what you want, baby, honey, and tell me what you want. I can get for you, baby, if you tell me what you want.
Prevails, this is real. Miss my brother, I love my mother. Drove all the way to Cali just to check up on me.
Now, without further ado, hello, I'm Liam, music reviewer. Here are the 50 best songs from 2021, which you can listen to in the Spotify playlist down in the description below. And to kick things off, let's begin with an artist who is pretty underground. Look, there's going to be an eclectic mix of tracks on this list. Just let me have the song that you've probably heard 100 times willingly or not on here. Overplay has definitely dampened my liking of this song, but considering I didn't know who Olivia Rodrigo was at the start of 2021, for her to hit out with a pop punk jam that scratches that misery business itch is very welcome.
Dream job, if I see her, I'm a scene hop. This isn't a joke, yeah, I need help.
An artist birthed from the PS2 era of twee, big-haired figures, Instupendo has conjured up the kind of song that would refill your HP and mana for a lifetime's worth of battles. Airy, stunning and delicious.
But I can't see you the way on me into your pixelated baby. Come just a little closer to the barricade.
If any song from 8485's debut project proves why she's worth keeping an eye on, it's Seer, a beautiful yet bittersweet track about finding love while dealing with impending doom, disaster and delight in equal measure. Brought to my attention thanks to Alice Scarfbrake's excellent Bandcamp feature on Florida Emo, Weird Carolina by Camp Trash is that flavour of the genre that is upbeat and instantly nostalgic, like an impromptu journey with pals on a warm summer day. The band wearing their sunburn with pride is a reminder of those good times. They said I'd lost the plot when I proposed the formula of good artist plus another good artist times making a song in the same vein as a good artist equals good song, but Angel Olsen and Sharon Van Etten have only gone and proved me completely right. Granted, I should have been wearing clothes when I showed off that formula, but still.
And this one is for the champion. And your losses I began, yo.
I'm glad and also humbled that Lil Nas X proved folk like myself wrong by showing he wasn't a novelty act. I really thought his whole bag would continue to be short, quirky, viral songs, but with Montero, Sun Goes Down and the entry on this list, Industry Baby, he really showed how much of an icon he's set out to be for this decade in pop, triumphant in just about every way. Hearing Nick Cave say I'll shoot you in the face and I'm a Botticelli Venus with a penis on their own would vindicate putting White Elephant on this list, but having that menacing first half followed by a euphoric second half along with some great lyricism about social tensions makes praising this song all the easier.
I saw the fire in your eyes. I saw the fire when I look into your eyes.
How ironic, wait a second. Yeah, how ironic that the same year that saw the breakup of Daft Punk would also provide a mainstream hit indebted to electronic's most iconic duo. That shouldn't come as a shock considering the Weeknd's past work with the pair, but what is surprising is that despite After Hours being the best album Abel's put out, there are still asphyxiating new heights that he can reach. I remember hearing the Weather Station's latest album for the first time last year and just thinking, am I getting a bit lost in the hype, or do I really like this to the extent that I do? A quick revisit of the title track Parking Lot, which takes Tamara observing a bird and transforms it into something breathtaking, and yeah, I knew it was definitely the latter.
But I know I'm funny,
In her own words, the title track for Faye Webster's 4th LP is pretty much a Mad Lib stretched out to nearly 3 minutes, but the easy breezy nature of it, jumping from unrelated topic to unrelated topic, accompanied by a soothing reverbing guitar, is the kind of floating on a cloud vibe I'm just a sucker for.
I think we could live forever in each other's faces, 'cause I always see my youth in you.
Look, a lot of us had to process that we actually liked Halsey in 2021, yours truly included. That being said, I'm still having a hard time listening to the closer from their latest album, an earnest love letter to their partner and newborn child, without getting a bit choked up. I'm always a sucker for non-conventional romance songs, so when you combine lovesick poetry with an intense atmospheric rock pop style that Haru Namurai has built her name on, you've got yourself one happy customer. A nervous customer, mind you, but a happy, nervous one nonetheless.
City going up, so you better buzz. Venezuela really wanted us, really spilling blood. Everybody tough, till they gotta go and see the judge.
With a heavy bass that threatens to weigh you down much like the guilt and paranoia eating away at Vince, there are very few openers from 2021 that laid out the scene and immersed me quite like this track. Sometimes less is more, but other times, like with John L., more is more. The addition of sax and violin transforms Black Midi into something all the harder to define, but still every bit as joyful to experience. It might feel like a bit of a fever dream, but it's not one I'm in a hurry to pinch myself awake from.
All my company's full, told them to keep the loan. I took that gold bitch home, niggas was big mad.
While I didn't enjoy his latest album as much as Flower Boy or Igor, Tyler didn't really give me an easy time when trying to decide on what of his many songs to choose for this list. While Was Your Name, Massa and Thought You Wanted to Dance are all great in their own unique ways, Lumberjack just edges the rest out of its gangster rap homage, leading to a song that harks back to Tyler's early career but with the experience and class we come to expect from him. It's always nice to feature homegrown talent on one of my year-end lists, and Sam Gellatrey made this both an easy and difficult decision that I really could have gone for any of the cuts of his latest EP for, but at the end of the day it was the earnest disco pop tune duo that won me over, Sam showing he's just as capable behind the mic as he is behind the computer.
You call me again
drunk in your Benz, driving home under the influence.
While she may have been unable to surpass her lofty and ambitious debut, the title track for Billie Eilish's sophomore LP isn't lacking in the confidence and amazement that put her on everyone's radar. This double-sided banger caught me off guard on first listen with its curveball second half, but it's clear that it's more than just shock value that made it a mainstay in my 2021 listening habits. While the announcement of a new Beach House album sporadically released in little EP portions had me a bit anxious about it being any good, it's clear to me that the Maryland duo are making their In Rainbows, i.e. a record that encompasses all of an artist's best features into one neat package. Superstar is a magical example of this philosophy with simple but delightful lyrics that play into the magical ascension Beach House are just naturals at crafting.
And I know
I want to say thank you to Indigo D'Souza for putting out one of the best dancey tracks of the year with Hold You, but with my favoured closer Kill Me, I'm more inclined to ask, are you good? It's macabre and revealing, and for those moments in 2021 when it felt a bit too heavy, Kill Me was the kind of track I put on when I needed to face those ugly feelings rather than distract myself from them. There's not an awful lot for me to say about the Kessler EP from last year that I didn't say in that review roundup. Who keeps sending me these notes? And I got shot last time, so like, I should be dead. Like, shouldn't we have had a burial? But if you want to experience one of the best progressions in electronic music and music as a whole from last year, check out Vreeselen. Yet another Florida-based act that's keeping the emo flame burning brightly, Homieswear didn't miss a beat on their release at Became Birds, with the scientific classification of stingrays being a track as good as it is a bit of a mouthful. I particularly enjoy the pace and pronunciation on here as well as the impassioned climax.
Keeping to myself and staying out the way. Always on my lonely cause I can't change.
I've not really checked up on what Anime's mindset was leading up to the release of his latest project, but if Charmander is anything to go by, it sounds like someone who has removed himself from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, reached monk levels of clarity, and returned with a sound that is like sugar, both in how hyperactive and addictive it is.
I don't really want to talk about it.
While I could say something like, well, judging by this track's name, Deja managed to predict how often I'd be listening to it, his fantastic vocal performance and the piano power that propels it has to be commended. The kind of song that both earns and wholeheartedly deserves your attention.
Looking at the feeling of an empty room, I wanna do everything that God would do, so I'm invincible.
We got very lucky in 2020 that Rain On Me came out to be the sound of the summer in a year that primed to miss out on one, and if there were any nerves that 2021 would struggle to produce another one after. Doja thankfully laid them to rest with the Sun-Kissed Polly, a track that wrestles with blooming passionate feelings with some of the cutest indie pop tidings I heard all of last year. Polly was the sound of this past summer, and I'm sure the next few as well. I promise I won't use the Breath of the Wild comparison I've used on Igloo Ghost already this past year. I'm saving that for the Album of the Year video. Instead, I wanted to praise Zones You Can't See for managing to capture that Igloo Ghost feeling of discovering something long forgotten in a way he hasn't done before. The indecipherable language of the sprites that surround you, the wee rave they seem to be participating in, is weird, and I love getting to be a part of it. We're all well aware of the pop-punk renaissance that's been spearheaded by the likes of Willow Smith and the human embodiment of that cup of tea you've left in your bedroom for the past fortnight, but when it comes to a group looking forward rather than looking back, Underscores are leading the way. While the group could fit into plenty of different genres, Spoiled Little Brat is a focused effort to test out the hypothesis of what if Blink-182 grew up with a DS rather than a Sega Mega Drive. The result is a track that will blow your toupee off with its breakneck speed and creative choice of effects. Much in the same way Little Things is a song that actively shows two sides of an intense romance, it's also a track that has a pair of reminders. One, that Adrian Lenker is confidently still one of the best lyricists working today, and two, that Big Thief continued to earn the shoe shining every critic, including myself, gives him.
Said I've been praying on you. You brooding all alone. I've been waiting on you. No crack up on your throne.
To capture the sensation of being on holiday as a kid, I'd asked my mum to get one of those cheap paddling pools that would last exactly 7 minutes before either deflating or leaking, and as an adult I'm lucky I can get that same sensation of drinking a dangerously strong drink on a tropical beach thanks to Genesis Owusu's First Class Waiting on You, a gorgeous jam that doesn't seem to break a sweat while infatuating me. Eve Tumor's part throwback, part futuristic rock voyage that went down such a treat on 2020's album of the year doesn't seem to be running out of steam as shown by Jackie, the lead single off their latest EP that I always need a few goes at trying to pronounce. The scale and the detail and the fact that the chorus just always hits makes this a banger that I'll be taking into the new year and beyond.
Is it easier when you don't have to count to 10, when you don't have to pretend? I want to know that feeling.
It's not as if any year has been easy for women, but 2021 has been particularly hard, something you'd know even if you glance at the headlines for a split second. Those type of horrid events are what make a song like Good Girls all the more poignant. Churches delivering their tasty brand of synth pop beauty, along with a bombardment of cutting lines about accountability and the refusal to tolerate the laughable precautions women take just to be allowed to live. Similar to the times churches pull their influences from, so too do the issues they tackle stretch a fair bit back, and we can only hope that with anger and resentment shown in art and on the streets, that we can make it a depressing memory rather than a reprehensible reality.
Get your fucking hands up. Get on out of your seats. All eyes on me. All eyes on me.
Now that we seem to be the end of the ever-changing consensus on Inside, ranging from best thing ever made to overrated waste of time, it's time for me to hit out with the hot take of the good thing is good, actually. While some songs from Bo Burnham's quote-unquote comedy special are reliant on the visual medium it was delivered in, All Eyes on Me instills all the feeling of dread and hopelessness it did when I watched Inside for the first time. I expect to find myself in the minority who loved this song, chunky midsection monologue and all, but All Eyes on Me was and still is that moment that makes Bo Burnham a special type of creative.
You hung up the phone and I asked you what was wrong. Your dad has come to town.
If ever there was a song that made me feel as queasy as a ride on a roller coaster after I'd just scoffed a full veggie breakfast, it was Thumbs, a song that is to deadbeat dads what Doc Martens are to indie kids. Iconic, but capital P painful. The soundscape on here is a desolate one, leaving you no choice but to soak in the awkward, agony-filled atmosphere like the lime in the rum that is mentioned midway through. Not one of my most played songs, but in terms of inflections, few made a mark like Thumbs did.
I cry at the start of every movie, I guess, 'cause I wish I was making things too.
Those of us with taste were counting down the days until we got new Mitski material, 1,145 days for those who are wondering, and surprise, surprise, the artist who has made some of the best music of the last decade is making some of the best of the current decade, with its weird plotting synth, sinister Badalamenti style keys, and Mitski's plight of creativity and happiness. Working for the knife more than satisfied my appetite. Since I started making Song of the Year list back in 2018, Kero Kero Bonito are yet to miss out on a place on it, and Well Rested may be their most confident entry yet, at least on par with Only Acting. The closer to the second entry in their Civilization series is all the more impressive considering that it clocks in at over 7 minutes and never drags for a second of that runtime. Really, who's going to turn their nose up at a twee hopeful banger about surviving impending doom? Not this guy. I've got to be honest, I didn't have post-hardcore banger with heavy cowbell usage on my bingo sheet for 2021, but I'm really glad Turnstile did and managed to fulfill that prophecy. The Baltimore band have never been short of energy or fun in their projects leading up to Glow On, but lead single Blackout is on a whole other level. Had it came out 10 years ago, you just know this would be soundtrack and every broken bone you'd pick up and skate free. It can be pretty validating for a song to pull the musical equivalent of Miss You, but it can also be a bit uncomfortable. In the case of Julian Baker's Favour, a song all about seemingly putting up a veneer to hide your sadness that those close to you can see right through, it can be a depressing but wonderful mixture of the two, with production that mirrors this reality-shattering realisation and backing vocals from Boy Genius alumni Phoebe Bridgers and Lucy Dacus. There's plenty to take your mind off from the tears that are strolling down your face into your mouth. I've praised some songs already for being really long but good, so why not check out the opposite end of the spectrum. Laura Less is Haunted is pretty microscopic at only 1 minute and 42 seconds, but while it may be compact, it sure is concentrated, kinda like those sweets that they always warn me not to try at school. The atmosphere on here is as wild as you'd expect from 1/2 of 100 gecs, but it's also peculiar and refreshing from what we get from that duo. Here's hoping we can get an album or even an EP's worth of songs just like this.
I was trying to make a living, well I did, and now I don't wanna live at all.
After nearly a year of no new material, I would have been content getting a Breakins track in 2021 that sounded just like a Punk 2 scrap. Now I find myself in a situation where the monkey paw starts to curl because yes, we got a new song from him which has got much more improved vocals and production, but it's up there with something like Kanye's Never See Me Again and being a transparent piece of art as Anguish. I love this track, but I do hope Breakins is holding up okay.
If I wanted to be yours like no one else before, I need you to see.
I've always found the way that female singer-songwriters get clumped together a bit reductive and a bit sexist, but we've got not nearly enough time to address that, and this proves to be the case with Soccer Mummy. Since I heard Clean back in 2018, I've always found her production to be quite fun and creative, never ever really meandering, and in those same ways Romcom 2000 may just be her best work yet. There's a time capsule appeal to this track with the pauses and pace changes you'd expect from a CD riddled with scratches and its throwback Me music video. It works in Soccer Mummy's favour that despite the erratic music choices on this song, her lyrics still stand out, a declaration of love that sounds like it stood the test of time and made all the better with its imposed imperfections.
I'm obsessed with you in a way I can't believe. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me?
I declared Just For Me by Pink Panthers as my bop of the year in the 2021 High J's, but this longing, not so long love track really is a special time. Had this song come out in the noughties and been rightfully as big as it is now, McDonald's would have made it into one of those wee music toys that play it, and I would have just looped it until the battery died. I realise how stupid what I'm about to say might sound, but let me be the first, perhaps the last, to call Delete Zeke the car seat headrest of hyperpop music. Right now they're in that lo-fi situation brought on by the limitations of what you can feasibly achieve in your bedroom, but as Movies for Guys proved, you can bury a melody 6 feet deep in distortion, but if it's good enough, it will shine through all that dirt. When you've got that fantastic production, as well as ugly but honest lyrics that capture Delete Zeke's anguish about not being accepted for who they are. Listen, the sky's the limit for Delete Zeke, but it's clear they're already well up in the clouds.
Swearing through rumors, avoiding the trends, and dug in the holes. I'm dug in the loony that come with the shows. I'm grateful to man, he opened up doors.
Look, if you've drawn a comparison between Sicko Mode and Family Ties, I'm not mad. Both are great hip-hop songs, featuring two big stars in the scene that go through multiple phases, but man, I really do think it's one of those cases where just cause you did it first doesn't mean you did it the best.
Just type in it, that's where I'm at, ho! Smoking on your top 5 tonight.
As soon as I saw that Kendrick made an appearance on this song, I knew it'd be grand. Bear in mind, this is the guy that featured on a remix of one of Taylor Swift's weakest songs and made that worthwhile. Did I expect his return to music to be so confident, funny, and just all out amazing? Let's just say I like surprises. That alone would land this track in the higher echelons of this list, but Baby Keem, the main man of this track, puts in a formidable performance, standing his ground and ensuring he doesn't end up being victim to another Nicki on Monster or, fittingly enough, Kendrick on Control. The way everything gets wrapped up in a bombastic, beautiful bow at the end makes this an easy pick for my second favourite hip hop track of the year. The introduction of modem dial-up noises and whirring drills makes the title track of Backwatch's latest album feel like an excursion into the hell the Canadian rapper is trying to cleanse. The wonderful inclusion of Ada Rook acting as these personal demons come to horrifying life. I've always loved the emotion Backwash brings to her music, and this might be her weightiest jet, her cadence being part formidable and part fragile as she tries to exorcise this agony that she's endured. Speaking of weighty, the atmosphere on I Lie Here Buried My Rings and Dresses is overwhelming. It's aptly suffocating, like trying to swim through a pool of that slime stuff you keep alien baby toys in. Despite the song touching on weakness and misery, there's a triumphantness to this song that makes me brave enough to jump back into it time after time. I'm naturally inclined to lap up a good old rock epic. It's been that way since I heard Black Parade for the first time on Kerrang, and long may it continue. Now, when you take that into consideration with my blossoming love of over-the-top genres like hyperpop and indietronica, it should really come as no surprise that a song that meshes these two things would be such a favourite of mine. Spanning 10 minutes in 3 parts, each just as impressive as the last, Pills and Good Advice is the kind of opener that comes around once in a blue moon. Whether the name of Nat's EP is This Is a Place for Your Head or This Is a Place for Your Heart, this track here ensures both body parts are in bits from this fantastic, emotional feat. From the moment the first taste of our hotly anticipated follow-up to 2019's Grey Area came out, 2021 was Little Sim's year, simple as that. Introvert was a triumphant return, the kind of song that requires a whole lot of confidence to pull off, and while it was in contention for this list, Women helps to explain how every song off our phenomenal new album came to be. A love letter to all the women in our life, past and present. Women is one of the luscious things I've heard all year and possibly ever. After all, that music video isn't centred around a fancy feast just for the sake of it. It's also not bogged down by being super serious or self-aggrandising, as shown by that playful piano and that funny voicemail outro from our cousin. It's an honest homage to how Simbi came to be, and it is simply delightful.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Like a lot of music fans in 2020, the passing of Injury Reserve's Depa J. Groggs managed to art in a specific way that slipped through all the pain that year was already inflicting. There wasn't even a fleeting thought about the group putting out new music from the shock of it all, so by the time I Get to Phoenix was announced with Knees as its lead single, there was a lot of emotions bubbling, most of them synonymous with sad as Much like other tracks on what may well be the group's last album, there isn't much that sounds like Knees, despite there not being a clear hook to latch onto like the trio are known for, and production so deconstructed it's more Jenga endgame than anything else. Knees is a song I've come back to time and time again, whether it's cause of how unique it sounds or the lyrics which address that deflated feeling after going through tremendous loss, which are obviously more relevant now. There's just something about Knees that I have a hard time letting go of. Seems pretty fitting, doesn't it? It was only a matter of time until EP of the year when our DOS made an appearance on this list, and with Strawberry she put out one of the first truly brilliant songs that I heard in 2021, a piece of music that had an iron grip on me throughout the year. It's funny to even use a metaphor like that considering the fleeting beauty of this song, when I'm happy to let flow around me as it soundtracks even the most mundane moments in a way that transforms them into A24 set pieces. Whether you want to use placeholders like shoegaze or noise pop, the point still stands that despite having so few lyrics, no song in 2021 said as much as Strawberry, and very few said it as well as it did. I've talked about a few songs from 2021 that helped me deal with any somber feelings that I was harbouring throughout the year, but I do want to give credit to the songs that didn't so much help me distract, but just helped keep me afloat with their loveliness. And with this next song here, it is just sunshine distilled into its purest form. Japanese Breakfast is an artist I've always been aware of, the artwork for her music being instantly recognisable despite not dwelling into her stuff all that much. I was fortunate then that my starter for getting into her work happened to be Be Sweet, a song that on the surface is simply divine, just an audio treat designed to get your brain pumping that sweet serotonin. Of course, as a lyrics man, we do love a Trojan horse, and Be Sweet isn't exactly that pure happiness I was hyping up to be before. It shares a sound, sonically, no matter how you look at it, but what lies beneath is complicated, born from past woes, adding a bittersweet tinge to the whole song. Yeah, that only makes me love Be Sweet all the more. I'm not sure a love song that was wholly wholesome would be as impactful as one that tackles shortcomings in order to shoot up the stratosphere. Be Sweet is a bop, but it's also one of the most impeccably well written songs I've heard all year, both in its songwriting and lyrics. You know, I like there to be a theme about my top picks for the songs and albums list. I can't just simply go with whatever I thought was my favourite and say as much. No, I have to make the process much more complicated and grueling. It is, yeah, as a creative, it's one of my vices, that kind of desire to just make sure everything is perfect as possible, just kind of go all out. And it just so happens that one of my top songs of the year kind of directs or directly addresses this creative crisis where you just start to feel burnt out and become your own worst enemy. And not only has listening to this song made me feel better about this nature of mine and the kind of job that I do, but it actually makes me appreciate the type of job that I do as a creative, which is no small feat. Seeing as we only ever see the end result of what artists make, it's easy to get lost in the facade that artists think of a song and make it, no roadblocks along the way. So when a song like Musician comes along, one of the lead singles from Porter Robinson's first album in 7 years that directly addresses burnout and creative frustrations, it's nothing short of a pat on the back or cry on the shoulder that you're needing. That's without mentioning the production, which, funnily enough, for an artist whose debut work is literally called Worlds, feels like the pop standard for a planet mounds of light years away. You can just imagine that place would rank #1 for happiness if it was a country on Earth. Musician is a song that doesn't play down Porter or anyone else's worries when it comes to chasing that creative buzz. It knows how irresistible it is and gives the listener a great deal of clarity about the process. The fact that the end result is one that is so excellent is just further proof that musicians undergo so much to make what usually amounts to just a few minutes worth of what they've been pondering for days, months, or in Porter's case, years. It is so concentrated in quality and is a welcome reminder for people like me to take great care when talking about art. Musician just makes me so grateful that I get to do just that.
I'm trying real hard. I think I made it up.
It's been a while since a rock song got such a visceral reaction out of me on first listen. The last one I remember managing to muster up a similar reaction being last year's song list topper. How fitting. We've not been short of UK rock songs that have been challenging and out of the ordinary. Contemporaries like Black Country New Road and Black Midi have made sure of that, but when it comes to making a lasting impression and getting better and better with each listen, Narrator tops a lot. I don't want to go on and on about Long Song actually being good, but the fact that Squid and guest Martha Skye Murphy don't waste a single second of this 8.5 minute opus is worth an applause. You could praise 100 different things about this track, from Ollie Judge's atypical and arresting vocals to the synthy organ that could orchestrate a nightmare, all the way to that scream-centric finale that would make Laura Palmer proud. Narrator has an album's worth of ideas on it, but despite that, it is just a colossus. It never starts to teeter despite the weight that is upon it. And for me, if there's something worth calling your song of the year, it's probably that. I have had a great time talking about these songs, so thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you make of my picks. Let me know what some of your song of the years are. That doesn't make sense. Let me know what your picks are as well. I'm always looking forward to seeing what everyone else's favourites were of the year. If you like this video, whether just general enjoyment or you actually hit the like button, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my wonderful patrons who are on the screen just now, or even aren't on that tier but still support me. I appreciate all of yous so much. And yeah, I'll see you very shortly, or very shortly in a few weeks time for the best albums of the year video. So look forward to that, but until then, stay safe and stay hydrated.